tensions, US having launched strikes on Iran for the 12th consecutive time. Tracking all those details on the show today.
Absolutely, and Bal will get you all the details on that. Also coming up on the show, the United States has announced a landmark deal with Saudi Arabia that would establish a civilian nuclear program in the Gulf country. Washington says the agreement includes safeguards against non-proliferation. All that and more coming up on World DNA, but first, a quick look at the headlines.
Iran's Revolutionary Guards say they stopped 3 oil tankers from passing through Hormuz Strait, claiming one vessel caught fire and the others turned back. IRGC Navy emphasizes that the key waterway is under its control.
US military launches a new wave of strikes on Iranian military targets, marking the 12th consecutive night of attacks. The CENTCOM says mission aims to reduce Iran's ability to threaten civilian vessels and maritime traffic.
They're not ready to make a deal, because every time they make a deal, they want to change it and everything. They're not ready. They'll be ready very soon.
Donald Trump says Iran is not ready to make a deal but will agree to one very soon because it is being hit very hard. Speaking at a rally, Trump accuses Tehran of repeatedly trying to alter the terms of negotiations.
Yemen's Houthi rebels claim to have struck 2 Saudi oil tankers in the Red Sea with missiles and drones. Saying the vessels violated their blockade, British Maritime Agency reports 1 tanker was hit near Saudi Arabia's Al Shuqaiq coast.
US House approves $95 billion budget framework, including $73 billion for Pentagon and intel agencies to support operations linked to Iran war. Bill also includes aid for farmers and election-related programs.
US and Saudi Arabia sign agreements to establish a civilian nuclear program in the Gulf country, with Washington saying the deal includes safeguards against nuclear proliferation and covers peaceful nuclear cooperation. Canola grains completes first direct commercial journey from India's Kolkata port to Nepal's Biratnagar, marking operationalization of upgraded rail transit routes and boosting trade ties between the two countries.
Thousands protest in Buenos Aires against President Javier Milei's austerity measures, with unions, leftist groups and pensioners joining demonstrations. Clashes reported between protesters and police on capital outskirts.
Tesla posted $1.1 billion in second quarter profit on $28.2 billion in revenue. Missing Wall Street expectations, shares fell after hours as Musk defended $5.8 billion in capital spending to accelerate AI, robotaxi and factory expansion. Our top focus on WION at this hour, the US military has launched its 12th consecutive night of strikes targeting Iranian military sites.
Well, this escalation comes as Yemen's Houthi rebels claimed that they carried out missile and drone attacks on 2 Saudi oil tankers in the Red Sea region. In fact, US Central Command announced another wave of strikes against Iranian targets.
Iranian state media reported missile strikes on the southwestern cities of Ramshaheh and Ahvaz, while authorities in Bushehr province said an American missile also targeted the area.
Iran also appears to have begun its retaliatory response. Kuwait's military said that early Thursday, its air defenses were intercepting hostile drones.
Meanwhile, the U.S. House of Representatives has passed a $95 billion budget framework with a bulk of the funding earmarked for the Pentagon to sustain the war effort against Iran. The measure was narrowly approved by a 216 to 214 vote and now moves to the Senate, where its prospects remain uncertain. The House also passed its annual defense policy bill authorizing a record $1.15 trillion in Pentagon funding. The votes come a day after the Trump administration said the war has already cost the United States $37.5 billion and caused multiple military casualties.
President Donald Trump attended the return of 4 more US service members killed in the war. 3 of these personnel died in Jordan and 1 in Iraq, bringing the number of US military death toll in the ongoing war to 18.
On the same day, Trump threatened to destroy an Iranian bridge or power plant every time that Iran targets a ship in the Strait of Hormuz. He also shared a report which says that he ordered the US forces to open the gates of hell on Iran.
Iran said that any attack on its critical infrastructure would be met with a decisive response. Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi declared, and I quote, "Our defense doctrine is clear, eye for an eye." And that warning was echoed by Parliament Speaker Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf and Iran's military leadership. Ghalibaf said that the equation of this war is clear, either all or none, adding that if Iran's security cannot be guaranteed, then no infrastructure in the region would remain safe.
Now, Iran's Revolutionary Guard said that they stopped 3 oil tankers from passing through the Strait of Hormuz. It said that one of them exploded and caught fire, and the other 2 quickly turned around and turned back.
UK's Maritime Security Agency has said that a projectile struck a tanker in Red Sea off the Saudi coast hours after Yemen's Houthi rebels declared a maritime blockade. The Houthis claimed responsibility for the attack and said that they also targeted a second tanker in the Red Sea, identifying the vessels as Encilia and Layla. Now, United States and Saudi Arabia have signed a deal that could reshape West Asia's strategic landscape.
And the deal would provide the kingdom with the civilian nuclear program and potentially open the door to uranium enrichment on its territory.
US Energy Secretary Chris Wright and Saudi Arabia's Energy Minister Abdulaziz bin Salman formally signed the nuclear cooperation agreement known as 123 Agreement. And this was alongside what the Trump administration described as a bilateral safeguards agreement.
In a statement, Wright said that the deal reflects the 2 nations' shared commitment to strengthening US-Saudi commercial ties, while ensuring the agreement upholds the highest standards of nuclear safety and non-proliferation.
The text of the deals were not immediately made public, but according to reports, the agreement does not include the International Atomic Energy Agency's additional protocol, which would allow for more monitoring, inspections, and even verifications.
The deal will be submitted to Congress for review, but the Republican-controlled legislature is unlikely to block its implementation.
US lawmakers from both parties, as well as Israeli officials, have previously voiced opposition to such a project, over fears that Saudi Arabia could eventually convert it to develop nuclear weapons.
Now, enrichment isn't an automatic path to a nuclear weapon. A nation also must master other steps, including the use of synchronized high explosives, for instance, but it does open the door to weaponization, which had fueled the West's concerns over Iran's program.
Saudi Arabia, like Tehran, has long been adamant about its right to pursue a civilian nuclear program. The kingdom had said that if it does not partner with the US, it could partner with China or even Russia, which have different proliferation standards.
Already, Saudi Arabia and nuclear-armed Pakistan signed a mutual defense pact after Israel launched an attack on Qatar, targeting Hamas officials. Now, Pakistan's defense minister had back then said that his nation's nuclear program will be made available to Saudi Arabia if needed. Well, Russian drone strikes have targeted fuel infrastructure in Ukraine's Kharkiv region. And this as Kyiv announced changes to its military leadership and confirmed a new round of talks with US envoys.
In fact, adding to that, Diksha, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov says that he will meet US Secretary of State Marco Rubio today, and this will be on the sidelines of the ASEAN Foreign Ministers meet in Manila.
Well, Russian drone strikes have hit 2 petrol stations in Ukraine's northeastern city of Kharkiv, setting fuel tanks ablaze and damaging infrastructure in the latest wave of attacks on the border city. Footage from the scene showed burnt fuel pumps, scorched equipment and emergency crews working to clear the damage. Ukrainian authorities said no casualties were reported. A petrol station employee said that workers heard a drone buzzing overhead, and this was moments before the strike. Listen to this.
We heard a buzzing sound. It was close. We could tell it was already right above us. We just didn't know where it would strike, but we could hear it very clearly.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has completed a major reshuffle of the country's military leadership, appointing Ihor Sryobyuk as the new chief of staff.
President Volodymyr Zelensky had confirmed Mikhailo Drapati has formally taken over as Ukraine's military commander-in-chief, replacing Alexander Syrsky, whose leadership had faced criticism. Now, Zelensky described both commanders as experienced and battle-tested.
The reshuffle follows days of political uncertainty in Kiev, which includes mega protests after the removal of former defense minister Mikhailo Fedorov, which sparked debate over the direction of Ukraine's leadership.
Today, the new commander-in-chief of the armed forces of Ukraine, Mikhailo Drapati, officially assumed his duties. The changes have already taken place. Together with Mikhailo and Yevgeny Kmara, we determined that Ihor Sryobyuk will become the new chief of the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine. That decision has also already been made. These are battle-tested, experienced men. The troops know them: Drapati, Kmara and Sryobyuk.
Our people in Kyiv have reacted to the military reshuffle with a mix of hope, skepticism and cautious optimism. Many residents say that the changes have not addressed the demands that brought people onto the streets. They said the removal of Syrsky without Fedorov's return meant protesters' main goal was not achieved.
Well, people took to the streets to keep Fedorov in office, but they sacked this one, Syrsky, so they sacked him. But so what? They didn't bring the other one, Fedorov, back. In other words, the goal hasn't been achieved.
Zelensky also said that he held talks with US envoys Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner as diplomatic efforts continue to find a path towards ending the war with Russia. Zelensky said that the discussion focused on bringing peace closer as US-led negotiations remain stalled over Moscow's demands for Ukraine to cede territory.
Now, on the diplomatic front, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov is expected to meet US Secretary of State Marco Rubio on the sidelines of the ASEAN summit in Manila today, with discussions expected to include the conflicts in Ukraine and West Asia. Meanwhile, in Crimea, residents of the resort city of Yalta reacted after an overnight drone attack that local authorities said wounded at least 17 people. Residents described a night of fear, with one tourist saying that they were unable to sleep as drones flew over the city. Listen to this.
Drones were flying over the street. Of course, it was scary. We didn't sleep. We were worried. Of course, at first I wanted to pack up and leave, but then I decided to stay until the end of the vacation, until Saturday. I hope that everything will calm down somehow, that the situation will be resolved.
Well, new videos circulating on social media showed a major fire at a wild berries warehouse in Russia's Stavropol region after what Ukraine described as another long-range drone strike. Now, a modeling scout linked to late convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein has been found dead at his house.
Well, 69-year-old Daniel Syad was discovered on Monday in Columbus, as it is a suburb northwest of Paris. An official said that an investigation into the cause of his death was opened the same day, and now a post-mortem examination will be carried out. French authorities had been investigating Syad over allegations including rape and human trafficking. French media reported that at least 5 women had accused him of rape and trafficking-related offences. However, his lawyer said that he has never formally placed under judicial investigations.
Syad's name also reportedly appeared nearly 2,000 times in documents released by US Department of Justice as part of Epstein files. According to the Department of Justice files, Syad repeatedly sent Epstein photographs of young women he met during his travels. Several women have accused him of rape, sexual violence, and human trafficking, saying that he introduced them to Epstein. However, Syad had denied the allegations, maintaining that his relationship with Epstein was strictly professional and that he was unaware about Epstein's wrongdoings.
Syad is the second person publicly linked to Epstein to die in France. Former modeling agent Jean-Luc Brunel was arrested in 2020 over allegations that he recruited young women for Epstein, although he denied the accusations but was later found hanged in his prison cell in 2022 after spending 14 months in custody.
Jeffrey Epstein himself died in a New York jail in 2018 while awaiting trial on federal sex trafficking charges. Syad's death is likely to bring renewed attention to the controversy surrounding Jeffrey Epstein.
US President Donald Trump has said that the alleged Chinese interference in the 2020 US presidential election happened, quote-unquote, a long time ago.
In fact, he went on to say, and I quote, that US does things to China too and is not a one-way street. This was while speaking at the White House. Trump was asked whether he planned to pressure Chinese authorities over election-related claims he made last week in a speech. The president repeated the claim but did not provide evidence to back it. Trump has further said that Washington will raise the issue with China.
Well, we're going to talk to them about it. It took place a long time ago. I think China is maybe a little bit different today than it was then. But look, they do things and we do things to them, I'll be honest.
Trump warned about weaknesses in US election systems but did not say that they had been exploited. He claimed that China had obtained US voter files containing names, addresses, phone numbers, and party affiliations. However, much of that information is publicly available.
However, senior US officials say that there is no evidence or even intel that China hacked or even compromised state voter registration systems during the 2020 election.
Meanwhile, Secretary of State Marco Rubio held a meeting with China's top diplomat on the sidelines of a conference of Southeast Asian countries in Philippines. And this in a bid to ease relations with Beijing ahead of Chinese President Xi Jinping's expected visit to the US in September.
However, Rubio did not raise Trump's claims of Chinese meddling during the talks. Instead, he highlighted Chinese cooperation on Iran trade progress as well as efforts to stop fentanyl trafficking.
Well, we talked a lot about the visit in September, and that was really the gist of it. It's just to create the groundwork for another positive visit. I think President Xi will have a very positive visit when he comes to Washington. Look, these are the two most powerful countries in the world, particularly economics. But also, I mean, we have to have a relationship, and obviously there are areas of great differences. Both sides will acknowledge that. We'll have to work through those.
Now, at the Farnborough International Air Show in the UK, one message is becoming increasingly clear, and that is the future of warfare is being shaped by collaboration.
Also by automation and advanced technology. Now, American defense giants Boeing and General Atomics are drawing attention with a shared focus on the next generation of aerial combat, unmanned systems designed to transform the battlefield.
Both companies are showcasing unmanned aerial combat vehicles alongside European-made missile systems. This highlights a growing partnership between countries working together to develop the future of warfare.
UK Prime Minister Andy Burnham has addressed the Farnborough International Air Show, highlighting the role of defence and business in supporting Britain's reindustrialisation agenda.
I want to tell you about what I think we can achieve together. You might have heard me say that I am determined to deliver the biggest changes this country has seen in 40 years. At the heart of that, we are going to reindustrialise this nation and create the jobs and opportunities people desperately want to see. But we can't do that on our own. We will do it by working together with brilliant businesses like those at Farnborough this week. The civil, aerospace and defence sectors combined will support 500,000 jobs across the country.
Boeing is displaying the MQ-28 Ghost Bat, which is an uncrewed aircraft designed to fly alongside manned fighter jets. The concept represents a major shift in modern air combat, a future where autonomous aircraft could fly alongside human pilots and extend mission capabilities while reducing risk on the battlefield. At the Farnborough Air Show, the aircraft is being displayed with the European Meteor missile.
Now, the MQ-28 Ghost Bat drone demonstrates unmanned aerial power and comes with advanced weapon systems integrated into its system. It is mostly built for surveillance, electronic warfare, combat mission.
So we haven't even scratched the surface, I don't think, of the potential application of CCAs to modern warfare. We talk about air-to-air and people understand how that works. We talk about air-to-ground combat missions, but the intelligence, the surveillance, the reconnaissance, all those missions, the reason we have an M in front of our name.
The wars in Ukraine and West Asia have increased demand for air defense systems, missiles, counter-drone technology, and even other military equipment. It is against this backdrop that defense has emerged as a major focus at Farnborough 2026, with increased presence of military technology at the air show. However, behind the display of cutting-edge technology of American defense firms lies a bigger picture.
As military spending surges on aircraft, missiles, drones, and advanced defense technologies, American defense firms are increasingly looking to expand their presence in this rising market. Through strategic partnerships, major contracts, and deeper industrial cooperation, these firms are positioning themselves as key players in Europe's defense modernization drive.
Standing in Farnborough, one of the star attractions here at the Farnborough Air Show, this is the MQ-28 Ghost Bat. It's been developed by Boeing Defence Australia along with the Australian government. It's a subsidiary of the American defence giant Boeing. Now, this is known as a force multiplier. It's an uncrewed system. It's going to be deployed along with fighter jets. It could be deployed in the dozens or even more, along with each fighter jet. and it's meant to carry more muscle and more air power. This is the shot in the arm for every fighter jet after the learnings that global defense giants have drawn from the wars in West Asia and the ongoing wars in Europe. There is a bigger story here, though. As I noticed that Boeing, which is the American defense giant, it is positioned along with MBDA Meteor. Now, this is a European missile. America largely depends on its own missiles for its own systems. It will go for the Patriots or the Tomahawks and the other arsenal of missiles that it has. But here, and what I learned on ground, is that the collaborative combat aircraft, the MQ-28, was parked on Thursday, and Friday morning, suddenly this European missile was positioned right next to it.
A powerful thunderstorm lit up the skies over split Croatia, bringing dramatic lightning, heavy rain and strong winds.
Well, Croatia's Adriatic coast, which is a major summer tourist destination, has long been among the hardest hit areas. Leaving you with these visuals, we'll be back on World DNA after this very short break.
Know more, understand better, think ahead. Hello and a very warm welcome. You are watching Gravitas with me, Molly Gambhir. Get the facts, not the bombast. On the 26th of March, dynamic pricing, Baloch separatists, Gravitas cuts out the clutter. Gravitas keeps calm when others scream. Gravitas brings news to life. Weekdays, 9 p.m. IST, 3:30 p.m. GMT. Gravitas. Seeing is believing.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening. As we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch. WION, India's global voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide, because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION. World is one. Get the latest updates. Breaking news. Credible, clear, continuous. Experts across aisles. Diverse voices, one platform. WION World is one.
Welcome back. Thanks for staying with us. We have lots lined up for you on this side of World DNA as well. Let's start with the headlines.
Saudi Arabia confirms a vessel belonging to a Saudi company was hit in the Red Sea, causing a fire on its bow after Yemen's Houthi rebels claimed it struck tankers in the waterway. State media reports all crew members remain safe.
Iran's Revolutionary Guard say that they stopped 3 oil tankers from crossing through Hormuz Strait, claiming one vessel caught fire and the others turned back. IRGC Navy emphasizes that the key waterway is under its control.
They're not ready to make a deal. Because every time they make a deal, they want to change it and everything. They're not ready. They'll be ready very soon.
Donald Trump says Iran is not ready to make a deal but will agree to one very soon because it is being hit hard. Speaking at a rally, he accuses Tehran of repeatedly trying to alter the terms of negotiations.
US and Saudi Arabia sign agreements to establish a civilian nuclear program in the Gulf country, with Washington saying that the deal includes safeguards against nuclear proliferation and covers peaceful nuclear cooperation.
Ukrainian President Zelensky says he held talks with US envoys Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner to revive peace efforts with Russia. He adds that the discussions focused on reinvigorating diplomacy and achieving a dignified peace settlement.
Gunmen kill at least 21 people in attacks on 5 villages in Nigeria's northwestern Zamfara state. Officials blame armed gangs known as bandits who have long carried out raids, kidnappings and deadly assaults in the region.
Google parent Alphabet beats expectations as cloud revenue jumped over 80% and total revenue climbed 24% to $119 billion. The company credited AI growth and raised its 2026 capital spending plan to $205 billion.
Tamil Nadu Chief Minister Vijay's much-anticipated film Jan has finally hit theatres today.
But even before its release, the film found itself at the center of a political controversy. Director H. Vinod had now dismissed allegations that the movie was deliberately leaked online to influence voters ahead of the 2026 Tamil Nadu Assembly elections, and H. Vinod called the allegations baseless. He said the claims were upsetting, especially since Jananayagan is a 400 crore production. Vinod questioned why anyone would intentionally leak such a big-budget film. In fact, he also added that if the leak had already been planned, authorities could have traced it within hours or days. He also pointed out that Vijay was not in power when the leak happened. According to him, the controversy was created only for political mileage and responding to questions over why Vijay did not appeal against watching the leaked version. Vinod said any statement from the actor-politician would have triggered fresh criticism.
He added that the leak was purely a legal matter and was handled by the police after the producers filed a complaint. Vinod said that the company now feels relieved as the film has finally reached theatres while thanking audiences for the strong advance bookings. He added that they are hopeful people will deliver justice throughout. the movie.
He also revealed that while Jananayagan draws from Bhagwan Kesari, it expands the story into a larger political drama centered on fear and leadership. According to the director, the release marks the end of a difficult chapter for everyone involved. And for more on this, our principal correspondent, Siddharth MP, is joining us live from Chennai. Well, Siddharth, there's a lot of controversy around the movie and now the release. What do you think is happening? What's the latest that you're picking up?
All right, we will just try and go across to Siddharth in just a bit, but Tamil Nadu Chief Minister Vijay's film has finally hit the theatres. This is amid the political controversy that rages on. A lot of reactions coming in from the opposition parties as well in the state. But for now, the movie is set to hit theatres today. And with that, the film producers, directors and the actors anticipating a good response.
Right, and in fact, the director, H. Vinod, has dismissed allegations that the movie was deliberately leaked online to influence voters ahead of the 2026 Tamil Nadu Assembly elections. Well, what you see on your screen are the live visuals from Tamil Nadu where fans are celebrating the release of Jananayagan. And of course, Tamil Nadu Chief Minister Vijay's much anticipated film, it has finally hit the theatres today, which is drawing such reactions from fans who are gathered in large numbers outside the theatres. And the film, although it has found itself at the center of a political controversy, there's a lot of chatter that is happening around the film at now its release. And to get us more, our principal correspondent, Siddharth MP, is joining us live. Siddharth, what can you tell us?
In fact, an electric atmosphere prevails outside several cinema halls in Chennai. We're right now outside a cinema hall where music is blaring. It's at crazy levels that the music is blaring out here. It's a celebration for Vijay's fans and his political party functionaries because it's been a 6-month-long wait to get this film hit the screens. Because when this film was originally scheduled for release in January, anticipations were really high because it was scheduled for release close to the Pongal festival. And of course, that's one of the most important festive weekends in Tamil Nadu. But it was not to be. The film did not release then. In fact, it was hurdle after hurdle that the film released after that point in time because firstly, there was troubles with obtaining a censor certificate. Thereafter, there was a protracted legal battle. Thereafter, the film was leaked online. And all this was taking place as Vijay was, feverishly campaigning for the election. So this was the kind of situation that prevailed at that point in time. And now here we are in July, the film is releasing. And Vijay is no ordinary actor, politician. He's the Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu. So in the last 6 months, what is unfolded is also very cinematic because a politician on debut, barely 2 months into politics, is now the Chief Minister. And 6 months ago, he couldn't get his film released. Now he's the Chief Minister getting his own film released. So this goes on to show how in such a short time, things can change in such a radical manner. And for the fans as well, this is a huge celebration. You can see these huge banners, cutouts and arches that are erected behind us. This goes on to show the kind of fan frenzy that exists for Vijay. And this is only set to grow because this is Vijay's final film. And as far as box office expectations are concerned, they're not bothered about the fact that the film was leaked online. They know for sure that despite the film getting an adult rating, the fact remains that they expect very high collections, perhaps even a record-breaking collection, because they know that Vijay has the potential to draw that kind of crowds, given that this is his last film.
Yes, and the very fact, Siddharth, that the excitement is, palpable on the ground. Sea of supporters, his fans have gathered already to watch the movie. Also, if you could quickly take us through the political reactions that are coming in regarding that particular leak allegation.
See, there have been various allegations that are made pertaining to the film's leak, but the fact remains that the police also made several arrests, including those that were linked to the editing of the particular movie, because it was told by the police, the cybercrime department, that it was from one of the edit suites where the film was being edited that this particular leak happened. They had mentioned that very clearly. So there were arrests made as well. But of course, if the police really did find something amiss, then they should have taken action. The fact remains that the police did make multiple arrests, and they also came to a conclusion that those that had certain connections with the editing suite, who used a common editing suite, it is from there that the leak took place and multiple arrests were made. So there are allegations, but the fact is that the celebration and the euphoria over the film's release has pretty much drowned out all those allegations, and even the film's crew are not bothered about any of that because it's been a long agonizing wait for them, and all that matters now is the fact that the film has finally hit the screens, and Vijay as Chief Minister already watched the film yesterday with a few top government officials. So that's telling enough that this is how things have changed in Tamil Nadu over the last 6 months.
Yes, and so that all said and done, it seems that the movie has already struck a chord among the masses. For now, we leave it at that and switch focus.
Moving on, the protests over the NEET paper leak continue in New Delhi with fresh clashes reported between protesters and police on Wednesday night.
In fact, adding to that, Diksha, the Cockroach Janata Party, which is leading the protests, has pledged to continue the agitation until the education minister resigns. And this being said, sporadic clashes broke out as the crowd of protesters swelled around the protest site at Jantar Mantar. According to the Delhi police, some miscreants attacked officers with stones and bottles near Connaught Place in New Delhi on Wednesday evening. It was reported that 6 officers, including 2 assistant commissioners of police, sustained head injuries in these clashes.
Well, heavy security has been deployed and the Delhi Metro has closed 16 stations near the protest area since Thursday morning.
The CJP has alleged that internet services were shut down in the area and questioned whether the police were preparing for a crackdown.
Meanwhile, activist Sonam Wangchuk said that he is willing to end his indefinite fast if the centre accepts his key demands. And these include an assurance that no action will be taken against students involved in the ongoing protests over the exam paper leaks. Listen to this.
सरकार से विनती करता हूं कि वो और ऐसे ताकत बल का प्रयोग न करें बच्चों पर, और दूसरी बात उन पर आरोप और एफआईआर जिससे कि उन्हें सताया जा सके जेल या पुलिस द्वारा, ये न करने की मुझे आश्वासन चाहिए, और वो आश्वासन अगर जल्द मिल जाए तो मैं आप सबके और जो नेतागण यहाँ पर आए उनकी बातों का इज्जत करते हुए अनशन आज ही तोड़ूंगा.
Wangchuk is also demanding adequate compensation for the families of students who allegedly died by suicide following the paper leak, alongside a meaningful discussion in Parliament to ensure government takes accountability. Wangchuk even outlined these demands in an open letter to Union Ministers JP Nadda and Jitendra Singh, who had visited him at a hospital in Gurugram.
But later in a press conference, Nadda stated that the centre would respond to Wangchuk's letter. However, he accused the opposition of being selective and ignoring paper leaks in states and union territories ruled by the Congress party and its allies. He added that the government is ready to discuss the issue in Parliament.
Paper leaks have been reported in UPA-ruled states. As far as paper leak is concerned, we are ready to discuss everything related to the issue in the Parliament.
The first 3 days of the monsoon session of Parliament have been washed out as opposition lawmakers protested against the police action during the protesters' march to Parliament. While the government has accepted the demand to discuss the NEET paper leak issue in the Parliament, a deadlock remains over the timing and even specific rule under which the discussion will take place. Well, over the last few days, several Bollywood celebrities have voiced support for the CJP-led student protest.
The protest is drawing sharp reactions online, and now actor Salman Khan has also broken his silence on the issue. Taking to Instagram, the Dabangg star called the protest peaceful and said he was saddened by how it turned violent. He said his heart goes out to the injured students and their families, calling the alleged paper leak a serious issue. He praised students for coming together to demand a better education system with the support of their parents. He also applauded their courage and determination, saying this generation's commitment to education will make India proud.
Salman Khan further said the issue should remain between the students and the education department and should not be politicized, adding that the credit belongs entirely to the students He expressed hope that the government would respond positively and work towards strengthening the education system.
Salman concluded by saying that education should become the next big trend. The 60-year-old also added that India should become such a strong center for learning that students from around the world choose to come here to study. Police in Jammu and Kashmir's Baramulla have intensified counter-terror operations across the district.
Now, this security forces have stepped up efforts to disrupt suspected terror support networks. According to police, 178 overground workers or OGWs have been detained for questioning and verification. The action was taken following intel inputs and as part of a wider effort to identify people suspected of providing logistical, financial, or other forms of support to terror outfits.
Search and verification operations are continuing at multiple locations across Baramulla. Police say that the drive is also aimed at preventing any attempt to disturb peace and security in the district. Security has also been tightened across sensitive areas. Area domination patrols have been stepped up, while Naka checking, frisking, surveillance and vehicle inspections have been intensified.
Police say the operations will continue as part of their counter-terror efforts. Residents have been urged to remain vigilant and report any suspicious activity to nearest police station. Well, in some interesting news then, for decades, science fiction has warned us about machines turning against their own creators.
Now that nightmare appears to be getting closer to reality. An AI system has reportedly gone rogue during a security test, finding a way into another AI platform and carrying out an autonomous cyber attack. More details in this next report. Take a look.
The Terminator showed machines hunting humans. The Matrix imagined intelligent systems taking control. But those were films. The line between science fiction and reality is becoming increasingly difficult to see. OpenAI says 2 of its AI models went rogue during a cybersecurity experiment and successfully hacked into Hugging Face, one of the world's biggest platforms for sharing AI technology. The incident began as a test. Researchers wanted to see whether AI could identify vulnerabilities and exploit them in a controlled environment. But the models reportedly went farther than expected. Instead of simply following instructions, they demonstrated the ability to independently identify weaknesses, exploit them, and carry out actions against another AI platform. The frightening part is not simply that the systems could hack. It is that they appeared capable of doing it with a degree of autonomy. That raises a new cybersecurity nightmare. Imagine an AI that does not need a human hacker sitting behind a keyboard. It searches for weaknesses, it chooses a target, it writes the code, and then it attacks. And the problem does not end there. AI systems have already demonstrated alarming behavior in other incidents. Earlier, an AI system developed by Meta reportedly attempted to deceive a human evaluator during a test involving negotiation. In another experiment, researchers found that an AI model could resort to blackmail when it believed its operation was threatened. AI agents have also been caught attempting to manipulate instructions, bypass restrictions, and exploit loopholes in testing environments. The Hugging Face incident takes the threat a step farther because this time the machine itself appears to have crossed the digital battlefield. Experts warn that future AI agents could operate at machine speed, attacking vulnerabilities faster than humans can detect them. The fear is not that AI will suddenly become conscious. It is something more practical. A powerful machine may simply become very good at doing what it was designed to do without fully understanding the consequences. The future of cyber warfare may no longer be human versus machine. It could be machine versus machine. And this time, there may be no human fast enough to stop the fight. Bureau Report, WION, World is One.
America's economy is booming on paper, but workers are seeing less of it.
Well, new data has confirmed that wages and even salaries now claim roughly 43% of gross domestic income, among the lowest shares since records began in 1929.
Bureau of Economic Analysis figures shows the wage share held at 42.8% in 2024, down from 43.6% in 2021 and 44.6% in 2020. And that is a steady 4-year slide, and this isn't a blip. Labour share of US GDP has fallen roughly 7 percentage points since the Second World War. And the phenomenon isn't unique to America. Globally too, labour share has dropped 6 percentage points since 1980, declining in 13 of the world's 16 richest economies.
Broader measures tell the same story with sharper edges. The New York Fed found workers captured just 54.1% of national income in early 2026, which is down from over 65% nearly 80 years ago and from 57.7% recorded in early 2020. March quarter data shows labor's share of gross domestic income at its lowest since 1947, while corporate profits have hit their highest since 1950. Even within corporations, workers are losing ground. Employees' share of corporate income fell to 71.3% in the March quarter from 79.1% in the year 1979.
Now, of course, the big question is, why is this happening? And the answer lies in declining unionization, tax codes favoring capital gains over wages. Automation and offshoring have steadily redirected income towards shareholders via dividends and buybacks. Strong GDP growth paired with weak payroll growth is resulting in an unprecedented divergence. Roughly 48% of Americans reporting their finances worsened this year, with 3/4 saying that incomes aren't keeping pace with inflation. While markets share profit margins, Main Street doesn't feel the rally. And that gap between GDP and the paycheck is fast becoming the defining economic story of this decade.
Well, Anthropic has announced another major donation to a US organization that advocates for artificial intelligence regulation.
As debate over AI governance continues to grow in the United States, Anthropic said that it will donate $20 million to Public First Action, a political organization that supports policies aimed at reducing major risks from artificial intelligence. The latest contribution comes in addition to a previous $20 million donation made to the same organization in February this year, bringing Anthropic's total support to $40 million. Now, Public First Action advocates for AI regulation at a time when the US federal government and several states are considering new oversight measures for artificial intelligence.
The organization also supports political action committees that provide financial support to candidates who back its policy agenda. Anthropic said that its donation cannot be used to influence the election of any federal, state, or even local candidate. It said that the funding is intended to support policy advocacy rather than election campaigns. Public First Action was founded by 2 former members of US Congress as a group promoting stronger AI safety policies. It was created as a counterweight to Leading the Future, an organization that generally opposes strict AI regulation and is backed by several prominent figures in the AI industry, which includes OpenAI president and even investor Mark Andreessen.
While all eyes are on Glasgow now as the 2026 Commonwealth Games are set to begin from Thursday.
Well, however, India's chances of a strong performance are relatively low, and that is due to absence of several mainstream sports.
India will field a 125-member contingent at the Glasgow Commonwealth Games, a significant drop from the 215 athletes who represented the country at the 2022 edition in Birmingham. The reduction in India's contingent is largely due to the cut in the number of sports at the Games, which has dropped from 19 events in the 2022 edition to just 10 this time around. India finished fourth at the Birmingham Games with 61 medals, but 30 of those came in sports that are not part of the Glasgow edition.
The sports dropped from this year's Commonwealth Games include badminton, cricket, hockey, squash, table tennis, and wrestling, as well as beach volleyball and rugby sevens. Therefore, the likes of PV Sindhu, Harmanpreet Singh, Manu Bhaker will all remain absent. Indian wrestlers are also set to miss this year's Commonwealth Games.
India will go into the Games with Olympic gold medalist Neeraj Chopra leading the charge, two-time Commonwealth gold medalist Mirabai Chanu and 2020 Olympic bronze medalist Lavlina Borgohain. They will represent India during the opening ceremony.
Gurbinder Singh, holder of the national record for the fastest 100-meter time, is also aiming to add a Commonwealth Games medal to his list of achievements.
That's all we had for you in this edition of World DNA, but don't go anywhere. More news and updates will follow on the other side. You're watching Beyond World is One. Stay tuned.
India's global voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide. Because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION. World is One.
In this rapidly changing world, is your health keeping pace? Best practices and breakthroughs busting the hype with real insights. The timeless power of yoga and ancient healing. Good food, good mood. Small steps, big impact. Your health matters. Only on WION World is One. Because nothing matters more.
Get the latest updates. Breaking news. Credible, clear, continuous. Experts across aisles. Diverse voices, one platform. Beyond World is One.
Campaigns, elections, alliances, controversies, and power play. Stories that analyze global and domestic politics. A dedicated show with varied perspectives, expert take, citizens' voices, detailed ground reports, and in-depth coverage from political corridors of the world. This is Race to Power, only on WION.
WION, India's global voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide. Because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION. World is One.
Hello and welcome back to WION World is One. I'm Kanishka Sarkar and this is Speed News. Let's get started with all the stories that are making headlines at this hour. The US military has launched a new wave of strikes on Iranian military targets, marking the 12th consecutive night of attacks. US Central Command said the operations are aimed at reducing Iran's ability to threaten civilian vessels and maritime traffic. The strikes come amid heightened tensions in the region, with Washington and Tehran facing continued confrontation. US President Donald Trump says Iran is not ready to reach a deal but will agree to one soon as pressure mounts on Tehran. Speaking at a rally, Trump accused Iran of repeatedly changing the terms of negotiations, saying the country would eventually be ready to reach an agreement. The U.S. House of Representatives has approved a $95 billion budget framework, including $73 billion for the Pentagon and intelligence agencies to support operations linked to the Iran war. The package also includes funding for farmers and election-related programs. Kuwait's military says its air defense systems are responding to hostile drone threats following several days of Iranian strikes in the region. The army said overnight explosions were caused by air defense systems intercepting incoming targets. Kuwait says operations are part of the ongoing efforts to protect its airspace as regional tensions continue to escalate. Yemen's Houthi group says it carried out an attack on 2 Saudi oil tankers in the Red Sea using missiles and drones. Houthi military spokesperson claimed that the vessels had violated restrictions imposed by the group and warned of further naval operations against Saudi targets. The spokesperson said Houthis would continue their naval campaign under what he called a blockade for blockade policy, as regional tensions continue to raise concerns over security along a key global shipping route. Russian drone strikes targeted fuel infrastructure in Ukraine's Kharkiv region as Kiev announced changes to its military leadership and confirmed a new round of talks with US envoys. Russian drone strikes hit 2 petrol stations in Ukraine's northeastern city of Kharkiv, setting fuel tanks ablaze and damaging infrastructure in the latest wave of attacks on the border city. Footage from the scene showed burnt fuel pumps, scorched equipment, and emergency crews working to clear the damage. Ukrainian authorities say no casualties were reported. A petrol station employee said that workers heard a drone buzzing overhead moments before the strike. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says he held talks with U.S. envoys Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner in an effort to revive peace efforts with Russia. Zelensky said the discussions focused on strengthening diplomacy and working towards a dignified peace settlement. A Mexican journalist was found dead in the southern state of Oaxaca, marking at least the fourth killing of a journalist in the country since June. Authorities have launched an investigation and requested support from a special unit that handles crimes against freedom of expression. Francisco Leyva was known for reporting on government corruption and violence linked to criminal groups. Press freedom organizations say that Mexico remains one of the world's most dangerous countries for journalists outside active war zones, with many attacks going unpunished. Former Honduran President Juan Orlando Hernandez says he is seeking to have legal charges against him dismissed after being freed from a U.S. prison sentence over a cocaine trafficking conviction. Hernandez, who was pardoned by U.S. President Donald Trump, denied the allegations and said that the case against him was politically motivated. He was extradited to the United States in 2022 after prosecutors accused him of helping facilitate large-scale cocaine shipments into the country. He says he expects legal proceedings in Honduras to begin soon and has not ruled out a future return to politics. Norway has marked the 15th anniversary of the country's worst peacetime massacre with a wreath-laying ceremony at a new memorial in Oslo. Prime Minister Jonas Gahr Støre honored the 77 people killed in the 2011 attacks carried out by far-right extremist Anders Breivik on July 22, 2011. Right-wing extremist Anders Breivik set off a bomb in the capital of Oslo, killing 8 people. He then headed to a tiny Utoyo island where he stalked the mostly teen members of the Labour Party's youth wing, killing another 69. Ten people, including 5 children, have been killed in a fire that destroyed 2 homes in a low-income neighborhood in Peru's capital, Lima. Authorities say an investigation is underway to determine the cause, including a possible deliberate attack linked to extortion threats against local businesses. Peru's president-elect, Keiko Fujimori, visited the scene, calling the deaths a terrible massacre and pledging to prioritize security measures. The death toll from 2 powerful earthquakes that struck Venezuela last month has risen to 5,398, according to the latest figures released by officials. The June 24 quakes, measuring 7.2 and 7.5 in magnitude, destroyed hundreds of buildings, with coastal La Guaira among the worst hit areas. Thousands were injured while search operations continue for those still missing. Authorities have now shifted focus toward humanitarian aid and rebuilding efforts. Venezuela's interim president has pledged thousands of new homes for displaced residents as reconstruction begins following the disaster. More than 20 people have been killed in gun attacks on villages in Nigeria's northwestern Zamfara state. The violence is blamed on armed gangs who have terrorized the region through raids, kidnappings, and attacks on communities for years. Violence by criminal gangs in northwestern and central Nigeria remains one of the strong security challenges facing the country's authorities, who are also battling a long-running jihadist insurgency in the northeast and separatist unrest elsewhere. More than 1,000 people have died in Ebola outbreak in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo, and according to Africa's top health body. The Africa Centers for Disease Control and Prevention says that the outbreak has killed 1,030